Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I just wanted to, I guess, just do a story time slash mukbang about how when I was 23, maybe 24, I bought my dogs from a breeder, and I just wanted to tell you basically my experience. So first off, let me show you what I have here. I have some Ethiopian food. I apologize if this ends up being a little shaky. I'm using my table, which is not the best, but whatever. But yeah, I just got the vegetarian platter, and I'm going to eat while I just tell you about my experience with buying my dogs, Zeke and Zeus, from a breeder. So it all started back, like I said, when I was 23. I moved out of my grandmother's house and I got my own apartment for the first time with my now ex, and we literally like started talking about getting a dog before we even moved out. But yeah, I just really wanted an animal. I had a cat already, but I really wanted a dog. So yeah, one of his best friends in high school was a breeder, and he was breeding old English bulldogs. Now I was looking in well, I wasn't actually going to shelters. I was looking online, and I didn't know anything about breeding. I didn't know the dangers or the ethical implications. I also was not vegan. I was vegetarian at that point. I had been vegetarian for 7 years maybe. And yeah, I just didn't know any vegans. And when he said, hey, my friend's a breeder, let's just get a dog from a breeder, I didn't think anything of it. I didn't think twice. I said sure. He said that he was gonna give us half off because obviously they're friends. And let me start eating because it's gonna get cold. Oh my gosh. I love Ethiopian. I haven't had it since my birthday in November. It's almost a year. I hate people that talk with their mouths open, so hopefully you can hear me. So where was I? Yeah, so he said, yeah, let's get some dogs from a breeder. I said, okay. And he went to, I guess, not look at them or whatever, but the breeder, his friend, said that he was gonna give us half off, but we would have to take the brunt of the litter. So my ex went to his house and he took a picture and a short video of this runt of the litter, and I like absolutely, of course, fell in love with him. He was like this big, tiny, and we had to wait a couple weeks until he was like fully able to, you know, come to us. So I still yet had not even moved out. We were getting ready to move all of my stuff, and it was actually moving day, and we were packing up my attic and moving it into the truck, and my ex got a phone call, and I'm doing whatever, and then I hear him say like, what are you talking about? And then he starts crying. And I'm like thinking, oh my gosh, is something going on with like his family, or I don't even know, because I didn't know who he was talking to. And he says that so he says when he gets off the phone that it was the breeder saying that he had taken the dogs to their last vet appointment before he could sell them, and that this runt had, or most likely had, what's called hydrocephalus, which is fluid around the brain. And he then tells my boyfriend that legally he's not allowed to sell sick dogs. So he said he was going to, and I am not even shitting you when I tell you that this is what he said, that he was going to put him in the freezer. Put him in the freezer. So my boyfriend tells me this and I freak out. Like I'm like, you need to call him back and say you're not killing my dog. And so he calls him back and he says, I can't legally sell you him. And I said, I don't care. I'm picking him up. So he says, well, you know, I can't legally sell you him, so I'll just give you another one of my dogs for free, or you can take him for free and I'll give you one of the other dogs. I'm like, I don't care, I just don't want you hurting any of these animals. So he said fine. So I think it was like the next day or a couple days later, my boyfriend went and randomly picked out another dog and grabbed the runt and they left. And I think it was like a day later, seriously guys, if you've never had Ethiopian food, you need to get it. It's so good. I got the vegetarian combo platter. It's all vegan, obviously, and it's so good. So he goes to pick up the dogs. They come back in this massive TV box. I open it up and I'm like, all I see is this fella right here jumping and going crazy. I'm like, where is the other dog? Meanwhile, this guy was 6 pounds. He was like, I don't know, this big, the size of like a Pepsi. Oh gosh, I'm shedding everywhere. The size of like a Pepsi bottle. Zeus was the size of my hand. He only weighed 1 pound. And I fell in love with them, both of them, instantly. I think it was like 2 days later, I took him to my vet and she basically said there is no way to tell without paying like $4,000 if he had hydrocephalus. She said that obviously his head does look a little bit large, but there's no guarantee whether or not he has it. She just told me to take him home. He was already eating like solid food and like he was eating regular food. She just said, take him home, spoil him, and if in 6 months he starts having seizures, then you'll kind of know that this is what he has. So I took him home, I spoiled him, and he lived to be 4. He never had hydrocephalus. He ended up growing into his head, basically. His head was just abnormally large for the rest of his body. And he ended up getting lymphoma. That's the only reason why he's not here with me today. You know, it's a fluke. It happened, unfortunately, but I gave him 4.5, almost 5 years of life that the breeder was going to end within like, what, a couple weeks of life for no reason. And I know I made a video last week about raw alignment and how she bought her dog from a breeder. And, you know, a lot of people might think that I'm hypocritical because you bought a dog from a breeder. And yes, I will admit it. And I love my dog to death. I would not trade him for anything, you know, but I didn't know, again, the ethical implications of buying a dog from a breeder back then. I didn't know how many dogs were in shelters. I didn't realize or put it together that if I'm buying an animal that's being created, there are dogs obviously in shelters that need a home. So good. So is this. And it is $4.40 on a Saturday, so I typically don't buy food out. I got this delivered, but I try to keep my spending to a minimum just because I'm saving for things and I have goals. But every once in a while, I'm totally okay with splurging and getting something. I think this cost me $12, so it was $12 well spent. And this is a Chardonnay, which I love Chardonnay. Anyway, yeah, so a lot of people might find me hypocritical, and that's okay. You know, you have your opinions and I have mine. But I am here to educate people on going a more ethical route, because now I know the ethical implications of buying dogs, cats, whatever animal that you're thinking of buying from a breeder. You know, a lot of people that I've seen comment saying, oh, they're an ethical breeder. That's kind of an oxymoron, because it's not ethical to create life when there's life currently being killed at this very second over and over and over again. Thousands of lives being killed because of these breeders. And the fact that the breeder that I had the experience of dealing with was going to put their dog, one of their dogs, in a freezer, because if you think about it, how many animals are they creating, you know, in a year or every couple years? There's going to be times when some of those animals are going to be sick, or they're just looking at them like they're not gonna make them a profit. So instead of taking them to a vet and I don't know, seeing what they can do to make them healthy, they're going to take the easy way out on their side and do the cheap way of getting rid of these animals. Now, I've heard of breeders drowning their animals. I've heard of breeders putting their animals again in the freezer. I've heard of breeders that put their animals also in a plastic bag and basically depriving them of oxygen. This is not uncommon practice. So if you're buying from a breeder, you have to think of not just the animals that are dying in the shelter, but the animals that are being killed by these breeders. And I'm not saying every single breeder, they may not do that, but the majority do. And you have to think about, you know, the animals that you're not seeing on a daily basis that these breeders have created and just said, you know what, I'm not going to make a profit off of them, so I need to get rid of them somehow. And taking them to a vet and getting them euthanized humanely is not going to be cost effective. So let me take care of them another way. And that is common practice. So whether or not you think that you may or may not be buying from an ethical breeder, I'm telling you, you're not. And again, you have to think about those animals who are in shelters right now dying. Anyway, that is basically what I wanted to talk to you about. Sorry, my camera is shaking. I can't do anything on this table without it moving. Well, that could have been bad. These ones, this was beets. So yeah, I just want to basically educate. And inform others that you can get puppies, you can, you know, adopt all kinds of specific breeds, hypoallergenic. It doesn't matter, they're in shelters all the time. And if you have to wait an extra month, maybe 2, I mean, why wouldn't you, knowing that you're saving saving an animal. And if you, especially if you claim to be vegan for the animals, there's no other, you're vegan for the animals. If you're not, you're plant-based. And I'm trying not to be a bitch about it, but there's a difference between plant-based and there's a difference between vegan. I'm 100% vegan. And I'm vegan obviously because of the animals. So if you're saying that you love animals and you know, you care about them, but yet you go and buy an animal from a breeder, maybe it was a mistake, maybe it was and I hope it was, but again, I really hope that I find or see a video from her apologizing and explaining her actions. Again, not explaining because there's no explanation for that, but informing her viewers that basically what she did was wrong, why, and why they should not do what she did. And again, I love my dog. He is 12, he'll be 12 now, soon. His birthday's coming up. And again, I was vegetarian at the time. I thought I loved animals. I mean, I did love animals, but I thought that I was doing everything I could to help them. But again, I was vegetarian and I didn't do my research on the dairy and egg industry like I should have. So that's really frustrating for me because I should have done my research. But I really should have grabbed a napkin. Whatever, I'm at home. Let me know in the comments if you guys have any experience or history with maybe possibly having bought from a breeder at one point because you didn't know the implications, and now that you do. I just really want to, you know, start conversation about ethical adoption or shopping or adopting and not shopping in the comments, or just, yeah, I don't know. I just feel like it's important to share experience with others, learning from your mistakes, admitting your mistakes, and educating others on how not to make the same mistakes in the future, because that's the only way that we can grow. That's the only way that we can make a change in this world for ourselves and for the animals and for our environment, because I mean we're not gonna have an earth forever if we continue to do the shit that we're doing with it now, because we're destroying it just by animal agriculture. And for what? For a couple minutes of taste. And that's basic, and money, you know, for a piece of paper and a couple minutes of palate pleasure, when I can easily eat this amazing, delicious food and it's cruelty free. So good. If you have any questions, I would love to hear them in the comments. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like this on more education or things that I'm eating, if you have any suggestions on things that you would like to see, let me know in the comment section, and give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, And if you want to see more videos like this in the future, go ahead and hit that little red subscribe button, and I will see you in the next video. I'm gonna continue eating this because there's still a lot left, and I didn't eat as much as I thought I was going to on camera. I'm gonna go ahead and finish the rest of my wine and keep Zeke from jumping on my lap getting it, and I will see you in my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.